We're Batman at 89.
Hello and welcome once again to Batminute 89, the only podcast where we investigate Tim Burton's 1989 masterpiece, Batman, 1 minute at a time. I am John Parker.
And I am his ward, Niall McGowan.
That is a great title for you. I've always wanted a ward.
Well,
I've always wanted to take in a
you've got
ward.
one now.
whether I want you or not, I'm stuck with you.
Yeah, it's just going to be constantly just running around your house in a yellow cape with tight green shorts. That happens every weekend anyway. So. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a normal occurrence around this place. We are today doing minute 5. Problem is my computer has crashed, so I am without my notes. So I'm going off the top of my head and what I remembered from when I made the notes.
Oh, no problem. Like I'm hoping that maybe like your gut reaction to the scene will actually be like much more informative than like so
hopefully,
the meticulously prepared notes.
Well, anyway, I mean the minute begins with the trampy-looking fella finishing his sentence off. Speak English.
Yep, our friend Eddie finally resolving that cliffhanger of like, yo, you're deaf, you don't speak English. So
sound on its own, that sounds somewhat xenophobic or racist. Speak English.
Well, to be fair, like there's no way you could mistake that family as being from anywhere else, really. Particularly with the amount they're just yammering at each other, just like, for God's sakes, Harold, why don't we just call a taxi? So, like he definitely knows, like he knows that they're American, and he's almost definitely sure they're not from around here. So,
oh yeah. I was gonna say as well. The minute ends with someone saying, "I heard that the bat got him."
Ooh,
that is exciting.
We'll get to that in due time, I think, but or due time, not Jew time. That would be.
Well, you know, I'm English, so that's how I pronounce it.
Okay, well,
I'm not American. You're like a weird mix of everything here, being Irish.
But then, yeah, after this, we finally get our first bit of major action in the film, where Biggs takes off around a corner and is instantly bashed on the back of his head by another street tough, Nick, who we're now introduced to. And Biggs instantly drops like a sack of potatoes. Just there's no, it must have been. Presumably, it seems like this is a well practiced move by these guys, because like there's no, like he's obviously practiced that to like get him in the back of the neck. He goes down instantly, and it did make me wonder like how well prepared this whole con is, because I was wondering like had he, we said in the previous minute. He had that terrible method of begging, and that, hey mister, give me $1. But I do wonder if like if he had given him the $1, do you think he would have had safe passage? Was it
no chance. They do this all the time.
I'm just wondering though, maybe that's like it's almost like a troll toll, like like maybe because I'm assuming they're walking that way, and then when he asks them, they veer off in a slightly different direction. So maybe it's designed to be like, maybe that's why he's so forward with it. He's thinking, or the idea is, get them to go in that direction. Like if they're going to go down one path, and then if I kind of confront them, they'll veer off behind that corner, and then they'll get bashed in the back of the neck.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, if that guy just goes, can I have $1? They have no intention of taking $1.
Mm.
There's a scheme at play here. They do this every night to everyone they find. I don't think they're targeting these people specifically, other than they look wealthy.
Well, see, I want to believe more from Eddie, because we'll see like later on in the next few minutes, like he's the more between these two guys, he's the more sympathetic of them, because he seems like as we'll see, he has a bit more sort of guilt and like genuine regret for and remorse for what he's done, or he has that vibe about him at least anyway. So I've always kind of like he was maybe he's just he's been led astray. But as
Yeah.
from the way we're looking at it now, though, it seems like no, he's very much vindictively part of this scheme. So
Maybe he's just caught up in something he couldn't control.
yeah. I will note as well, as Biggs is walking around the corner, the music actually, it's a very, you could say, is kind of a standard way. It's almost like a kind of Jaws thing of like it just kind of goes and then the blow hits. But
Danger.
yeah, but it also weirdly reminded me of a bit of music from Beetlejuice, which was also the previous film of Tim Burton, scored by Danny Elfman. But there's that bit. It's like a recurring bit of music throughout, but particularly like when they're digging up the grave in the model where Beetlejuice is, and there's this kind of music that kind of goes. I kind of thought like it's a bit like that. I wonder if that's Danny Elfman's like, look, I've not gone all day. Like I have to do something. So
just reuse that. It was good enough. No one will notice.
It's fine. It's fine.
No one's going to analyze these things minute by minute.
It's like they'll never know. No one need ever know. So then we get Nick then says to the classic line as he's pointing his gun at Liza Ross, Mrs. Biggs.
Oh yes.
Do the kid a favor, lady. Don't scream. And then, of course, she immediately starts screaming.
Well, you would, wouldn't you?
Oh, of course, yeah.
I mean, if you tell someone not to scream in that situation, they're gonna. Although I have something I found interesting about that gun that he's hit Biggs with, and he's now pointing at her, which is, when I looked it up, I don't know a lot about guns. Again, I'm English. We don't really have them laying around here.
Yeah, you just have the musket. That's all you. I think I was.
Yes, my blunderbuss.
Being from Ireland, I'm not going to say whether I have any more experience with guns, but
yes, we won't go there. I looked it up, and it is a Smith & Wesson Model 19, apparently, which, of course, he's just hit Biggs in the back of the head with. And as we all know, that is actually Biggs.
Oh, of course,
on the run, yeah.
Once again, taken out too soon.
Oh, much too soon. From behind? Did he get... Now I'm doubting myself. Did he get shot from behind? Yes.
Yeah, but it's just like... I don't want to badmouth Biggs, but this is perpetually the... well, that's going to be a good test of the mic popper right there. Like, perpetually. Like, constantly seems to be like... He raises your hopes. You have like, who is this guy? These are the first people introduced. This must be our main character. Nope, he's gone. So
I thought they were our heroes all along. Oh, I'm devastated. But yes, so it's a Smith & Wesson Model 19, which later on in the movie there is one other character using this gun. Only one other character, not the same gun, the same model.
Can you divulge that character, or is it a spoiler?
Well, no, I can indeed. I can. Well, I will connect the dots. The gun is used by none other than William Hootkins, a.k.a. Porkins.
Mm-hmm.
Star Wars connection.
Wow. And the thing is, I'm going to... I'll get to it when we get to the point of the minute we're going to talk about it. But there's also kind of another tangential Indiana Jones. Well, obviously there's Star Wars, but then Hootkins obviously was in Indiana Jones as well.
Yes, of course.
Raiders of the Lost Ark, and there's another kind of sort of connection that I found mildly interesting that no one else probably will. But anyway, so then amongst the screams, we see then again the view of the street as the thieves run away. It's actually quite notable that during the whole mugging sequence, the camera has been at what they call a canted angle or a Dutch angle or the Dutch tilt, yes. Which is weird because considering that this is breaking away from the Adam West Batman TV show, it's quite notable is that the Dutch angle is synonymous with the 1960s Batman show. Like they used it all the time. It was one of their kind of trademarks.
Well, I know Tim Burton didn't hate the original show or anything like that, so maybe it was a kind of little homage to it without being too heavy-handed.
Oh, I'd imagine so. It just seems like it's, if your part of your mission statement is to break away, to have it in the opening minutes. Like here's a little like and I remember actually reading once years ago that because they predominantly used the Dutch angle in scenes with the villains. So like you'd have scenes of like the Joker and Catwoman and stuff teaming up.
Okay, yeah.
But apparently it was supposed to be because a Dutch angle, the camera's slightly tilted, so everything's slightly to one side, and this was supposed to be indicating that these characters weren't on the level. That was the mentality of the '60s show. It was like, yeah, it works. That's like, yeah, that'll be great. People will get that.
I like that. I think that works.
Yeah, and it kind of works here as well because again, we're getting introduced to it through characters who are thieves as well. So
not on the level.
Yep, they're not on the level. But anyway, so we see once again the now empty street, and once again the red light coming from the window indicating danger and seediness. But the thing is, no one seems to be around, except someone is around. Because high up in one of the towers, we see a figure, an abject figure.
A rotoscoped figure.
Yes, a bizarre piece of rotoscoped animation is watching them. But no, this is supposed to be our first hint of Batman, basically. Or like maybe I shouldn't say that. It's someone is up there, but we're looking down.
A mystery figure.
Yeah, and we're looking down from even higher than he is, up, from a kind of bird's eye view. And we get to see this character swish his cape around and walk through a door. But we do see a distinct outline of a jagged cape and like pointed horn-like things at the top of his head, indicating perhaps a bat-like creature.
In this movie?
Yeah, who would have thought it? Who would have thought it? But
you've lost me already. I'm out.
It's like, this is ridiculous. No way Biggs will get taken out that easy twice. But yeah, I'm assuming the reason they've done it, because you look at it now, like I remember back in like watching this in VHS, and that always looked great. To be fair to the shot, it does still look great. Like it's
it's good.
It's a beautiful, like if you had that as like a painting, that would be amazing. But we do have the the fact that now in the age of DVD and Blu-ray, and you can see that in pristine, high definition, and it's very, very obviously rotoscoped animation. That there's not an actual person walking in. And
I don't think that's a negative though, because I think there's I'm sure a lot of people will agree there's a charm to that more than just if they CGI'd him or something.
Oh,
at least someone's put in a lot of work and passion into making that look.
I'm assuming it was. Yeah, it was out of necessity too. I'd say it's probably because like maybe they tried shooting from above with just like nothing, and it's just like, well, it doesn't look like anything. It doesn't. You can't make out. It's just a figure. You don't know what that is. But then if you want to get in to evoke the bat imagery, then you've got to have that in there. So they was like, no, we need to pronounce this more, and it was a good call. I think it works. It works very well.
Yeah, it's probably the only explanation that makes any sense anyway, because I'm assuming they probably tried shooting it with a real person. I mean, I couldn't find anything in my research when I did have notes explaining it.
I was hoping that like Tim Burton in the commentary would be like, "Oh, this is why we did that," but no, it's not explained.
No. Couldn't find it on any websites, any books, anything. Nobody really mentions it, unless we're being stupid and missing.
One point though, that because this like scene is now, that's a really cool intro and like it's great and all, but this starts bringing up a point of contention I know some fans have. I remember like Kevin Smith made a point of this as well, is that we have in this scene like the opening scene is basically evocative of the Wayne family murder. Like it seems to be a similar setup. And
Yeah.
obviously, not to get into spoilers for later in the film, but Bruce Wayne, the whole reason he's Batman is to because of that murder. And so he's like he had a sort of vow of vengeance and to bring down justice upon criminals. And he's like, never again should this ever happen to a family, or no child should ever have to go through this again.
Yeah.
And then we note here that he's just simply watched the crime happen, and then he's gonna go do something about it afterwards.
Yeah, he didn't intervene. He didn't stop the criminals.
Yeah, I don't know if like maybe I'm thinking maybe like the whole reason he's out here is because he's trying to spread a bit of bad PR. Because we see later on like his whole thing is like, "I'll tell all your friends about me."
He should have business cards.
Yeah, maybe he's having because this is presumably because it's near the Monarch Theater. This is Crime Alley. So he's like, "I'll hang out in Crime Alley, and then something's gonna happen eventually." So maybe he was like just gonna like he was at one of the other edges. Or like he was just gonna, oh god, I'm so bored up here. And then from like he heard behind him the scream, and he's just like that. We've cut to him just after he's ran over, and he's like,
just missed my chance. Oh, what a shame.
So now he's like, oh god, I gotta go find these guys now. And another thing too is like it seems like he's pretty high up. So maybe he's just like, I don't want to jump all the way down there. It's too far.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the shot now, and it's a big building. It's huge.
Mm. So like maybe he's just like it might have been like, well, I'll get him. But to be fair to little Jimmy, it's kind of like, well, them's the breaks, kids. Sorry.
Well, for all this mysterious figure atop the building knows, Biggs is dead.
Yeah.
I mean, if you get smashed on the back of the skull with a pistol, I'm pretty sure there's a good chance that you will die.
Yeah. Although maybe that's why he wasn't so urgent about it, because he's like, little Jimmy's like, oh, hey kid, I see that your dad's injured. My parents were killed, so like you ain't got it that bad. It's like, what, hey, if you want to become a vigilante too, hey, you can pick up some of my slack from when I get going, So.
And there's the creation of Robin. No, it's not. No.
Oh, but something of that, like in Batman Forever, Chris O'Donnell was just randomly mentioned. Oh my god, the Graysons adopted me. My actual family were.
My god.
Where Biggs was Harold Biggs Darklighter, and his wife Jonathan Ross's sister.
That is actually her title in the credits, I believe. Yeah.
Oh, well, if IMDb don't have that sorted, I'll be writing them a strongly worded letter in the morning.
This is IMDb. They used to have forums. They're used to strongly worded correspondence.
Well, maybe they're scared of it now, though. They took the forums away, so they're like, oh, we don't want people coming in confrontational.
True. And something you brought up before about this being much like the murder of the Waynes. Every time I watch this movie, and I've seen this countless times since I was a child now, every single time I put it on, I forget that this isn't the Waynes.
I do wonder if that might have been intentionally, maybe like a bit of misdirection, because like maybe,
definitely,
yeah, fans would be coming in going, oh, I know what this is, and then it's like a little switcheroo, like they pulled the old double bluff on him. It's like, oh,
that's absolutely, definitely what they've done.
Mm. And then they must have been thinking like, oh, well, of course Biggs would play Batman's dad, because he's only someone as brave and heroic and mustachioed as Biggs, except he doesn't have a mustache in this. But only
tragically,
yeah. Oh, that's the one major failing of the film. If like there's ever a Batman special edition, like Tim ought to hire George Lucas in and be like, how do I like. We were like, oh, you can rotoscope in a mustache on. I was like, no, I'm not too good with rotoscoping. It looks really obvious.
I think if you can't get George to do it, let's all get a Kickstarter together to fund the creation of a new mustache. It needs to happen.
It's not the mustache we deserve, but the one we need right now. The one this film needed back in 1989, anyway. I will note there's a slight differentiation. I don't even know if I don't think that's a word. But
I'll allow it.
Slight change from the script in that apparently it specifies what I thought sounded pretty cool, of like the mother's screams echo up throughout the the skyscrapers of the city, and we get a
Yeah.
shot of the old cathedral, and it focuses on the gargoyles, and then it just says one of the gargoyles moves. I was like, ooh, that's kind of cool. But
Oh, that would be good, actually. Yeah, especially if they'd done it in a way where you genuinely couldn't tell it wasn't just a gargoyle.
yeah, it could have helped too. Like if you actually had some, like, a guy in the bat suit, sort of with his head ducked down on top of a gargoyle and then coming up, because then
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
do that live action. You don't need to do that with the animation, so it might look better today. But I guess, I don't know, maybe they just thought like, oh well, the cathedral's not near there, or I'm sure they had their reasons for changing it anyway. So
But once again, we can't discover what the reason is.
no. Well, it doesn't tell you. He tells you loads in that commentary. He doesn't mention that. So, but then we finally go up to a slight, like an odd, what's it called, an odd off angle shot of Nick and Eddie sitting on a rooftop, divvying up the spoils. And
Look at you there, though, busting out all the technical terms.
oh yeah. The guy came prepared. I know you did too, but your computer crashed. So
I did. I was very prepared. But I'm not as movie buff as you in the technical sense.
But I suppose now would be maybe a good time to sort of go into the actors, because the one we're introduced to first, Eddie, whose his name in reality is George Roth, and he's not done that much that's impressive. He was in Nightbreed, which was Clive Barker's follow-up to Hellraiser.
Oh, yes.
But nowhere near the same level of critical, or I don't think even financial success.
No, I mean, I've heard of it. That's about as far as it goes. So
I'm sure, like, maybe like there could possibly be down the line like a Nightbreed minute, but like it's not very good.
well, maybe that's the kind of thing they should reboot then.
Well, you never know. I'm sure like Clive Barker's been trying to get Hellraiser back on the go. Maybe he's been focusing in the on the wrong area. Been like, no, I should do that one again.
Hellraiser's played out. Switch focus.
Oh, Hellraiser is played out. Man, they got like 16 of them. Jeez.
At least.
But and then of course the other actor though, who plays Nick, Christopher Fairbank. He's actually been in quite a few things.
Yes, I do know his face from many things.
Yes, as he was in one of the Pirates of the Caribbean. He's in The Fifth Element. He's actually in he's the first death in Alien 3. He's the guy.
Oh yes, yeah.
He gets the ass. He falls down that big vent into the fan. That's him. So, and then I think we mentioned in the other episode too, he is in because we said like, oh, Biggs, who was in that episode of Doctor Who, gets taken out by a guy who is also in Doctor Who. He was in the most recent thing I've seen him in. It was kind of a weird story in that he's in an episode with Peter Capaldi, and I think it's called Flatline. And I remember watching it at the time and been like, that really looks like the guy from Batman. And like looking it up on IMDb, and they must have updated it at the time. They were like, no, it's not him. But I'm fairly certain if you look at him, if you like Google Christopher Fairbank, like Doctor Who Flatline, the outfit he's wearing is definitely designed to evoke the fact that it's this guy from Batman, because he's wearing like a similar kind of beaten down cap over it, and the hair is kind of tough, coming out in tufts at the side, and he looks the same. Like it could be said like, oh, if you put a cap on him, he's always going to look like that. But it looks so similar. I'm fairly certain that maybe they had like it's a deliberate thing that like, yeah, it's the guy from Batman.
Yeah, it's got to be him. I mean, you wouldn't get a look-alike to do that, would you?
But and then the other kind of major thing for the like UK listeners of a certain age he's in is that he's one of the leads in Auf Wiedersehen, Pet.
Are you trying to make us all sound old?
Well, I think like it predates us. Like I think that's like early 80s, isn't it? So
Yeah, but it was still, they repeated that forever. Into the 90s, it was still on, wasn't it?
To be fair, they still repeat Faulty Towers. So
True.
But yeah, and he was in that. Like Americans wouldn't know, Auf Wiedersehen Pet was a quite successful sitcom about a bunch of English people moving to Dusseldorf to get jobs, and most of them were Geordies, which means people from Newcastle, which is disappointingly nothing to do with Geordie LaForge. But
Oh, if only, if only.
it's like, why, yeah, Captain?
Hey, for all we know, Geordie's look could be the current fashion trends in Newcastle.
Oh well, yeah, we've never been. I've never been. I don't know if you've been, but
I've been, but it was it must have been about 15 years ago. So quite a while. Things might have moved on.
But I think Alpheus and Pet might have been mentioned in one of our Brethren podcasts, because one of the stars of that was Pat Roach, who's famous for being in the first 3 Indiana Jones films.
Of course,
As I know them, the only Indiana Jones films.
Oh, actually, I saw on the internet today an article. I can't remember what website it was on. It was like Polygon or one of those kind of places, where it was like, is it just me or is Crystal Skull underrated?
I think that might be one of those total film. I think they do that monthly. They kind of get a contentious viewpoint and be like, "Oh, is it me or is the Godfather a pile of crap?" That guy.
Well, I won't go that far, but I don't think it's terrible. The first half is really good. Like that bike chase through, is it? Where do they go? They go to the university, but I can't remember the name of the university.
But yeah, like I've got, yeah, I would agree with you. I think it's actually pretty solid up until the introduction of John Hurt's character, and then it's kind of very quickly then falls into like, oh, this is really silly and stupid now for some, and this is a film that had a motorbike chase through a library like a couple of minutes ago. That seemed better than this.
And it's not his fault. Obviously he's not a bad actor. I mean, bloody hell, everybody loves him. But the character isn't great, and it just seems to symbolize the slow slide down for the movie, the decline.
Yeah. But
I don't even hate Mutt until he does those swinging through the trees. Anyway, this is Indiana Jones Minute. Well,
no one's done this already, have they? But
they better not have.
Yeah, as I say, like Pat Roach, wasn't the first one in Raiders. He's the guy who's the fight underneath the plane. He's the guy who gets killed with the propeller, which is kind of similar to the way Nick gets killed in Alien 3, I guess, because he goes into a propeller as well.
Extremely similar, in fact.
So I wonder if that was maybe like people working on Alien 3 would be like, guys, this is gonna be a deep cut reference, but maybe someday someone will get it. What if we kill him in a way slightly similar to the way the other guy from Auf Wiedersehen Pet died?
Yeah, one day in the future, 2 guys across the internet, which isn't a thing yet, we'll have to invent that, will be looking at this movie and they will spot it and it will all be worth it.
It'll be like one of them will be like lying on their deathbed and his buddy will come bursting into the door with an iPhone or something and be like, God, well, listen. It's like he'll hear us saying this and then he'll just like lay back and die with a contented smile going, it happened.
Well, at least we brought happiness to a dying man on this show.
Theoretically, anyway.
Oh, it happened.
But anyway, were we talking about a film at some point?
Apparently. I think that's why I've been locked in this room, told to get on the airwaves.
But yeah, then we go into a bit of banter between Nick and Eddie, and we get they make a little crack here about oh hey look, American Express card, don't leave home without it, which is again changed from the script where they had just the gold card, but I guess American Express were like, oh yeah, go ahead and use and use the slogan too, just so people know.
Yeah, I wonder if that was they contacted American Express and asked for it, or if American Express said, we could maybe give you a little bit of money if you mention our card.
I'm not too sure. Although it's kind of ironic because a mere minute ago in the commentary, Tim Burton was boasting about how there's no product placement or anything in the streets of the film. I was like, oh yeah, but we got it in though. No, it's like he doesn't mention that. It's like, oh, Tim, there is product placement in the film. But
I wonder if he's either forgotten or he's trying to test us.
Should we get him on the horn? Just be like, Tim.
Call him up.
But then we get in they're sort of lying content, and we got a bit of Eddie's feeling a bit disconcerted. He wants to get out of there, and he's like, oh, what's the matter with him? And he's like, is he scared of heights or something?
Clearly.
He's like, no. Well, I mean, like, presumably, for some reason, when they fled that crime scene, they climbed an entire building. But whatever that's about.
When I'm committing my crimes, that's what I always do. My numerous crimes.
But then we get a bit of dialogue. I really, really love actually the whole, I don't know. After what happened to Johnny Gobbs, I was like, what? And they start talking about what happened to Johnny Gobbs. Who is Johnny Gobbs? Apparently, we're told he's sort of a bit of a loser, and he fell off a roof, and it's not a big deal. And then of course,
I'll tell you though, he's got the best gangster name, because they're always like, I don't know, like Johnny Knuckles or something. So this guy's like, he's the mouth. He's Johnny Gobbs.
I wonder if he's like the opposite of Johnny Tightlips.
Yes. How the hell did I not make that connection?
It's a good Johnny Gobbs. The thing is, if what we're gathering from this here now is that, presumably, well, if we get to the next line, the amazing ending line of like, oh, that's not what I heard at all. I heard the bat got him.
The bat. So,
but then maybe this will be something we can explore more in the next minute. But that does start raising the question of, did Batman kill Johnny Gobbs?
Well, actually, yeah.
Yeah,
that's a very good thing to consider. I mean, there's no reason to say he didn't.
Well, particularly in this film, because Michael Keaton's Batman will kill anything. So, like,
for any reason.
Yeah, he is quite happy to. I think we mentioned it even before because it's a big deal. He blows up an entire chemical plant full of people just to get one guy, and he doesn't even get him. So
he doesn't care about collateral damage.
But unless there's I think though, saying as that is being the last line of the week. Is there anything else you want that you can remember from, like, that might have been from your notes that you might want to salvage and bring up?
No, I think we've touched on most things. I got my bit in about the gun. I'm very happy about that because that took a lot of poking around on the internet.
So you were mentioning before we went on air. We do get a little glance of Nick's gorgeous earring.
Oh yeah,
which is a bit weird because they're so like really wearing really grotty, horrible clothing, and it all seems to be almost molding and just like it's gonna fall off them. But he's got a bit of flash though. He's got that earring.
I think he's stolen that. That's more of his loot. Not from this family right now, obviously.
Yeah.
But someone he's mugged earlier in the night or another day maybe.
It's probably a good shout. Although, what is the earring though? Because it looks like for a time I thought like, oh, maybe it's like a feather, but it looks like a tooth, like a tiger tooth or something.
I'm going with a tooth. That's what I can see. I mean, I'm just looking at it now. I'm just trying to zoom in a little. It's hard to see, but I'm going with a tooth.
Yeah, well,
here we go. I've zoomed in. Yeah, that's a tooth or something similar.
But I wonder if that's supposed to. Presumably, that's supposed to like symbolize something. So we have to have a think about what could that be like.
Well, he's a predator.
I suppose maybe he's a predator. I suppose he's about to hear about a predator as well, really, isn't he?
Oh, like, yes.
Technically, so maybe it's supposed to be like, oh, it's the predator's tooth near his ear. I don't know.
It's about to bite him on the neck.
Oh, but that's the thing. This is a great line, but minute 6, that's where it's at. Minute 6 is a great minute.
Yes.
But I think that's all my notes exhausted for this one anyway.
Yeah, and that's all of my notes exhausted because there aren't any this episode. So yes, thank you for joining us, and make sure to tune in again. You can get in contact with us on Facebook. We have Batminute 89. There's a page for that, and there's also the Batminute 89 Listeners Society. You can join that group. We'll accept you. Don't worry. And we've got a Twitter, an Instagram, and a Tumblr, and they are all at BatMinute89 as well. So yes, thanks again for tuning in, and join us again on Friday.
Next time, gobs-based gossip. As our boasting bandits savor the spoils of their sadistic scheme, what hoodlum-based hearsay will fall out of their gobs? And what eerie eavesdropper is waiting in the wings on this dark night? Find out Friday, same bat pod.
Different Bat Minute.